So I went back to another Gretchen Rubin book on a request of a client, actually, and I read The Four Tendencies by Gretchen Rubin. So it's looking at how we deal with expectations. So as a human being, how do we deal with expectations? And there's four different ways. And in the book review, the written part of this, there is a link to doing the online quiz for free if you're interested. But it goes through the questioner resists outer expectations, meets inner expectations, the upholder that meets outer expectations and meets inner expectations. The obliger meets outer expectations but resists inner. And then the rebel resists everything. If you haven't figured it out by now, I'm a rebel. Big time. Thankfully, my assistant's an upholder because we need both of us to function. But I like this book. I found it interesting, but I'm really intrigued by humans. I'm really intrigued by people and what they do and how they function and how they think and what makes people tick. So in reading it, I always read these books with a really giant grain of salt because I don't really fit in any of the boxes. So while I came up as rebel, I kind of was equal across the board. There were a lot of the other pieces that were almost stronger in my personality than the rebel, but that's okay. We're going to go with it for the book. And I had a few clients that loved this book and some that hated this book because they felt that it was just trying to box them up and put them into a box and it didn't actually work for their brain. For me, I was just explaining to my assistant, I'm like, I don't agree with a lot of what they said about being a rebel, and then I laughed because I'm a rebel, of course I don't agree with it. But summary of a rebel, because that's the one that made most sense to me, is my likely strengths are independent-minded, yes. Able to think outside the box, yes. Unswayed by conventional wisdom, yes. Willing to go his or her own way to buck social conventions, yeah. In touch with his or her authentic desires, yeah. Spontaneous, oh hell yeah. Possible weaknesses, okay, maybe this is me a little. Possible weaknesses, likely to resist when asked or told to do something. So this makes anyone in my immediate world laugh because I am the first person to go no and then go do it. I just have to get my voice in there. Uncooperative? No, I am very cooperative. Inconsiderate? No, I'm blunt. Yes, I maybe say things that people don't always want to hear, but it's never, ever inconsiderate. I would never do anything in that nature. Has trouble accomplishing tasks that need to be done consistently the same way every time? Yes and no. I don't have an issue doing it. I just have to reward myself for doing it. So if somebody else has that expectation of me, so for example, I needed to write book reviews and my assistant's been bugging me for a week about them. And so I knew they had to get done though. We were filming this morning. So I'm like, no, just sit down and do it. So I sat down to do it. And then I started to get tired because it was the end of my day. And I thought, no, I get a reward if I do this. And then I was fine. I got them done. Acts as though ordinary rules don't apply. Yes and no. Depends on the rule. And for me, it's a respect thing. So if it's someone I respect or an entity I respect, 100% rules are great. If it's somebody I don't respect, yeah, no, your rules mean nothing to me. Restless, may find it difficult to settle down in a job, relationship, or city. Job, relationship, and city, no, not at all. Not even remotely restless. I am more grounded than most in those three areas. But I find I get restless in other areas like wanting to paint a wall or wanting to rearrange furniture, things like that in my space. Struggles with routines and planning? Not at all. And maybe indifferent to reputation? Yes and no. There is a big piece of me that really just couldn't care less. So it's interesting. It's a really interesting read. I would check it out. If nothing else, do the quiz online and figure out who you are and what you are. It did help me to understand other people in my life better. So being so spontaneous and being so focused on my work, I am not having the same rules as other people have. I kind of piss people off once in a while in behaviors that I don't even realize are that big of a deal. So when I read this book, all of a sudden some things that have come up over the last few months, I was like, oh, okay, that explains it. That person is an obliger, or that person is a questioner, or that person's an upholder. So by me canceling those plans last minute, or by me doing what I did, that actually was like an offense to them, which gave me definitely more understanding of them. So is this like the holy grail of personalities? No, but will it help you understand the people around you? Yeah, it definitely will. So let me know if you've ever read this book, what your thoughts are, and what you are. what your tendency is, and if that actually meets your life, if that actually matches you. Check back soon. The next one, we're heading back into some business, and I'm pretty sure there's a bad word in the title. See you in a bit.